You talked a little bit about positioning and figuring out what is most sellable about you to your specific audience.
Hmm.
And you've worked with some incredible artists, Britney Spears, Hootie and the Blowfish, Daft Punk, just a variety. How do you help them figure out what it is about their brand that is sellable or that their audience does want from them?
I think with most artists these days, and certainly in the case of Hootie and the Blowfish, and to some extent Daft Punk, maybe not so much Britney, because she was signed really as an unknown. With Hootie, they had already developed kind of a regional fan base in the South Carolina market where they were from. They had been playing around Charleston and Columbia and going up to North Carolina and back. And they kind of had gotten the feedback from their audiences of what it was that their audiences wanted to hear, wanted to see, wanted them to look like, wanted them to interact with. They were very, very savvy guys. They all had business degrees from the University of South Carolina. They made it their business to really do the research and kind of get a sense of what was popular at the time. And then they had to decide whether or not they needed to hone themselves in a particular direction to meet that demand while at the same time remaining unique and individual, which is ultimately what they did. I mean, when they started out, they were playing REM covers and, covers of, you know, rock band songs that they didn't write. And then eventually it got to a point where they felt really kind of self confident enough to put pen to paper and say, hey, we have a sound here that seems to be connecting with audiences. Why don't we try to take our hand and write some stuff ourselves and see how people receive it? And they ultimately made a 4-song EP and sold it at their shows. And it started to really sell, and people started talking about them. And they became more popular. So by the time they came to the attention of Atlantic Records, they had already kind of created a little bit of an identity for themselves. So even as recently as somebody like Justin Bieber, I mean, Justin Bieber, as young as he was savvy enough to know that he needed to make videos of himself playing piano and put those videos out on YouTube. And ultimately, he was discovered by Usher, and the rest is history. I mean, he had the raw talent, and it isn't so much about the raw talent. There's lots of kids with raw talent. It's about understanding where to go to reach the audience that you want to reach. Justin wanted to reach that audience that appealed to kids that like thoughtful pop. YouTube was where it's at to do that. And now the streaming services, places like Spotify and YouTube Music, and there's lots of other independent music companies, streaming services, are offering services to independent artists that want to work exclusively with them, almost offering a lot of what a record company can offer, but doing it in a way that is so much more targeted and strategic because they have such a huge database of people that are subscribers to their services that they can trial and error kind of offer free samples of new music to people that they find out really, really quickly without spending a whole lot of money whether something is a win or a lose.